After losing the election in a dramatic landslide, you would think that the Democrats would learn something from that. That the left would learn from their mistakes. That they would do some course correcting. That they would have enough self-awareness to realize where they messed up, and they would be able to figure out how we got to where we're at right now. But it's only been a few days of Trump in office, and it's becoming very clear that the course correcting isn't happening. There is no self-awareness. The left has learned absolutely nothing. As if they weren't embarrassed enough already. As if their tactics haven't already been proven to be unsuccessful. They're doubling down on the Trump hysteria. Oh, we're going to act hysterical about everything Trump says and does. They're literally pointing out things that Trump is doing right now that we all wanted Trump to do. Like, we literally voted for Trump because we wanted him to do this or do that. And they're pointing at those things saying, hey, don't you regret voting for Trump now? We told y'all this was going to happen. Yeah, Trump told us it was going to happen too. That's why we voted for him, you idiots. But they're doubling down on the wokeness. They're doubling down on the just downright obnoxious, sickening behavior that got us to where we're at right now. And, you know, it's just like, it's hilarious because there was a moment there. There was a brief moment there right after the election where it seemed like some of them were coming to their senses just for a moment. But they're right back to their extreme TDS. They're right back to their same old tactics. And now, on news networks like MSNBC, they're going full mask off. Now, I've noticed that CNN and some other networks, I've noticed a few changes. They're still fake news, but I've noticed a few changes. But MSNBC, they're going full mask off, and they're literally bringing people onto their networks to go on racist tirades against white people on live television. They're saying the quiet part out loud. They're saying what we all knew. These people despise white people. And yes, a lot of them are self-hating white people. But yeah, they're just bringing people on. They're bringing panelists on to just go on racist tirades about a whole lot of nothing. I want you all to go ahead and watch this clip so you can see what I'm talking about for yourself. And then I'll be right back with more.
Specifically this week, some have described it as a shock and awe campaign, which might be what it is. I guess the danger is in covering Trump 2.0, how do we deal with this? Because these things have real implications. Everything Joyce just described, people are affected by this. This is not an abstraction.
We tried to tell y'all. I mean, Ali, I wrote specifically about this issue, what he was going to do to the Department of Justice multiple times during the election cycle, because as you pointed out in your open, this was all written down. So I don't like the shock and awe version of this, because if you had been paying attention, they wrote it down. They told you exactly what they were going to do and exactly how you were going to do it. And a majority of white people voted for this. This is the disgusting version of America that people want. And oh, by the way, eggs are still more expensive. So you didn't even get that. Great job, white folks. In terms of how we cover it as a media or as a media group, right? We have to stop acting like any of these things have any basis in reality, right? Your earlier segment about birthright citizenship is a perfect example of how you should cover it. There is no question about whether or not birthright citizenship is constitutional. It just is, right? There is no question about whether or not the Civil Rights Act should apply. It just does. And every time the media tries to sane wash Trump, whitewash Trump, explain Trump, defend Trump, what they're doing is muddying the waters on these issues that we have already decided, right? And I'm not saying that there's not a place for nuance. I actually wrote in The Nation about how if Trump wants to end DEI programs, That's legal. DEI is a policy. DEI is a policy invented by white folks who try to stop other white folks from being racist. If they want to end the policy, the next media question shouldn't be like, oh my God, you're ending DEI. The next media question should be, okay, so what are you doing to combat racism in employment and hiring? What are you doing to combat sexism in employment and hiring in the federal government, the largest employer in the country? Because if the answer is nothing, well, then that becomes illegal. Well, then that violates the Civil Rights Act. That violates the 14th Amendment of the Constitution, the Equal Protection Clause. So the question has to be, fine, you want to end DEI, what's next, right? It's all like, you're going to repeal it. What are you going to replace it with? Because just going back to antebellum racism, that's what's illegal.
What are you doing to combat racism in employment and hiring? Well, what he's doing is he's getting rid of DEI. DEI is literally racism in hiring and employing. It's funny how he doesn't realize that. That's what he's doing to tackle the racism, folks. He's getting rid of the racism by getting rid of the DEI. So now everyone has to be hired based on their skills, based on their qualifications, instead of based on their skin color or who they screw. I mean, the answer is right there. But he thought he had a got ya moment. He really thought he had a got ya moment there. That's how stupid these people are. And him, without DEI, this guy wouldn't even be on TV. Who the hell takes this guy seriously? Who listens to anything he has to say? He proved himself to be an idiot within just 30 or 45 seconds of us listening to him speak. He answered his own question and didn't even have enough self-awareness to realize that. But these are the type of people that they're going to be given a platform. People who solely exist because they're racist. And the people who prop them up are, white people who suffer from white guilt. That's where this guy comes in. He's a grifter that grifts off the guilt of weird woke white people. That's why this guy exists. Without that, he wouldn't be on MSNBC. He wouldn't be on a TV screen anywhere. You know what I mean? But it's always funny watching the actual racism come out of the people who cry racist the most. Because this is the type of guy that will try to find racism in anything. He's a race baiter, a race grifter, yet here he is openly going on rants against white people because that's acceptable. It's acceptable as long as you're criticizing white people. You can do that. You can't criticize anyone else, but you can criticize white people. Just like you can criticize Christianity, but you can't criticize any other religion. So it's obvious who's really the target right now in modern day society. It's obvious who the target is. And it's not people that look like that guy ranting about white people. Okay? But for now, you guys let me know what you think about this down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, ring that notification bell. And if you find yourself getting too worked up by all of this, remember, it's just political cinema.